Ça c'est très bon. Montreal on the way to the Stanley Cup final. We will see if it'll be the Islanders or the Lightning they will face after Game 7 tonight. Meanwhile, to the NFL. Repeat or retreat is the name of the game. Bart Scott, let's start with the Buffalo Bills. Will they repeat or retreat in the AFC East?
Well, Greeny, this is definitely a repeat. I understand that the Patriots have a lot of people coming back from last year that opted out. They also, have had a great offseason. But ultimately, I think the Bills are pushing the AFC for the number 2 team in the conference. Josh Allen, can he be an MVP candidate? I think they repeat this time, Greeny.
Jeff Darlington to the AFC South. Do the Titans repeat or retreat?
They repeat, and I don't want to hear it about the Colts anymore and Carson Wentz and how they're all of a sudden going to dominate the NFL like we forgot what Carson Wentz was doing. Look, Julio Jones coming to Tennessee is a big deal. He's just replacing, in my opinion, Corey Davis. This is a team that is set up each year to win because of Mike Vrabel and the culture that he has created in Tennessee. There will be a consistent winner in Tennessee. They will repeat as division champs this season.
I'm with that. How about your old division, Bart, the AFC North? Steelers, repeat or retreat?
Things just went from bad to worse, knowing that he not only lost Pouncey, but now he's lost, to Castro. I think it's going to be tough sledding. I think they're the third best team within the division, being pushed by the Cincinnati Bengals, Greeny. They are definitely going to retreat.
And we will talk about David DeCastro in just a moment, but first we'll talk about this guy. That's Tom Brady. He's 43 years old. He's the defending Super Bowl champ. He was on the Late Late Show with James Corden the other night, and he had a lot of things to say, including this about what he still has left to prove.
It's hard to walk away from something that, you still feel like you can do and you want to do. So It's not about proving it to others,
right,
what you could do. It's more about proving it to yourself. And I still feel like even though I'll be 44 this year, I still have a chance to still, prove it to myself that I can still do it at 44 because I've really worked to a point where I can, still do it at this age.
It's a really good interview. I remain fascinated by the music that they chose to put behind it, but it was a very good interview. There's Bart Scott and Jeff Darlington this morning. So Jeff, you've been around Brady as much as anybody, and there he is talking about still having something to prove, at least to himself, coming back at 44. Is there any reason to think that this isn't indefinite in his mind?
Absolutely. This is not. I remember having a conversation last year with some people close to him talking about how Tom at that point, mid-season last year, was already talking about how not only can I play next year, I can absolutely play the year after that. And when he talks about that, when he talks about the 2022 season, it's not like he's saying, yeah, I'll go this year and then that will be my last one. It is fascinating in many regards that he is willing to go that far. The question in my mind actually is not even about whether he can physically do it, which continues to prove everybody wrong on whether he eventually will go up against time. The question in my mind is just personally, like his life state. Like, this is a guy who now hangs out with billionaires and looks at property books to see where he should invest next. This is not a guy just hanging out with his teammates anymore. At some point, will he lose the interest in the football side of it? So far, he has not.
So, Bart, if the body doesn't betray you and the game is set up so at this point for quarterbacks to be protected and the rest of that, what is it that ends it? What is it that makes Tom decide it's finished?
Well, I think Giselle ultimately tells him it's time to come home and get in the kid pickup line and start helping out at the house. But it's one of those things. It's funny how we've transitioned from Tom versus time to pretty much Tom versus himself. Because I think he's trying to, remove all doubt, Greeny, that he's not just the best football player of all time, but arguably one of the best athletes. So he wants to be put in the same regard as Wayne Gretzky, Muhammad Ali, Babe Ruth. He wants to be on a Mount Rushmore, I believe, of great athletes of all time. And it's funny how we laughed at the point maybe 5 years ago when he said he wanted to play to the age of 45. And now we look up and he's 1 year from that. Come August 3rd, he's going to be 44 years old, and he's going to prove himself right. Great players are always willing to go the extra length to prove themselves right when they put, actions to words.
Absolutely. And look, as far as that Mount Rushmore in the history of American athletes, if he's not already on it, he's got to be awfully close. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, let's button it with just this interesting thought you had as far as where he has his life set up. What were you telling us about his schedule when his team has home games?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. First of all, like he'll tell his friends, like, "Hey, a 1 o'clock game in Tampa means I'm in the pool in my backyard by 4:30 p.m." Like, he loves the lifestyle that he ultimately chose and found in Tampa, and that was part of it. Like, yes, he was pursuing more Super Bowls when he left New England. Yes, he loved the idea of adding to his legacy, but he also felt like he wanted a new challenge, a fun challenge in a new fun place, and he feels like he found that. He is living his best life while also still succeeding on the field. So, look, he's got a beautiful boat, a beautiful pool. He's enjoying life at this point while also piling up Lombardis. It's fascinating, and quite honestly, I don't personally want to see it end anytime soon.
He has generally set himself up. Go ahead, Bart. Final thought.
No, in that regard, you and Tom have a lot in common, Greeny. Now that you've come down to New York, and after you get off the show, after your lovely radio show, you get to cruise down in Seaport and people watch.
Listen,
That's
I'm
right.
busy listening to Bart and Hahn on ESPN Radio. I know what you're talking about. I'm listening to you and stealing all your takes for the following day. In the meantime, I want to get to a take you had earlier today, and that was about David DeCastro. This is sneaky big news in Pittsburgh. The Steelers have released 6-time Pro Bowl guard David DeCastro. Pittsburgh will now have one returning starter on their offensive line from last year, which will be tasked with protecting a now 39-year-old Ben Roethlisberger, who last year was actually pressured the least of any quarterback in the NFL, only 16%. But that really doesn't tell the entire story because he just got rid of the ball so fast. He only held on to it for an average of 2.3 seconds, which was the quickest release of any quarterback in the NFL. And so, Bart Scott, it feels to me like we sit here almost every single day and try and figure out all the ways the Steelers are doomed. And Mike Tomlin has worked a lot of miracles to keep from having a losing season. Is there any way he can do it this year?
It's going to be tough, Greeny, because this is one of the only organizations that thought that they can go get a running back in the first round because they needed to establish the running game to try and protect their older, aging quarterback. That becomes a lot harder without DeCastro.
What do you make of this? What was the reaction you heard yesterday, Jeff, about the Steelers and this move, which seemed to take a lot of people by surprise?
Well, yeah, I mean, the initial reaction is that, look, you're adding Trey Turner, maybe he figures it out and gets healthy, but this is a team that will have 4 new starters. Then again, as Hembo points out, 2020 Steelers ranked 28th in pass blocking and 24th in run blocking. Maybe they do need a new offensive line, so 4 new starters, we'll find out.
Yeah, 4 new starters is not necessarily 4 worse starters. We'll see where it goes. And a reminder, they drafted Najee Harris, the superstar running back out of Alabama, in round 1. So we'll see what direction they go. In the meantime, as we roll on, the NFL has some great young quarterbacks nearing their second contract.